Good morning, everyone. This is Chris, and it's now what we've just had week three stuff just gone up, and by now it looks like we've got 6 people on this course. I'm very sorry, those of you, Jill over there in Leeds. I'm sorry that this thing didn't go smoother for you. Um, but I mean, what I ideally the position that I like is that I release the first week's module materials weeks in advance, weeks and weeks and weeks, and I have a load of people very early registered, and they can test all their systems and they can have a look and see if everything's working in the first couple of weeks. Um, and so that by the time the course comes, everybody's used to the sort of grammar of the whole thing and the pace of it, and but things don't work like that. The university systems aren't really that sharp, I've got to tell you. And so, even if a person with all goodwill does their application form and does the registration form, it can still take ages. It's usually the most difficult bit of the course is getting on. But once you're on, once you are on, hopefully things will smooth out a little bit. So I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for the sort of clunky start. It felt like a bit of a learner driver. It felt like stop, start, stop, start. And I've not kind of been able to, with you lot, I've not kind of been able to concentrate on the body of the materials, because it's been dealing with kind of panicky emails, but when I say panicky emails, I mean it's me that's sending them out. I am the panicker. But hopefully now that we're on, everything will be a fairly smooth ride. I'm saying all this, but I'm still waiting for course materials, particularly for the second semester. But that's not your problem. That's somebody else's problem. Don't even think it's my problem. But so the big correspondence of the week has come from Dan Saff. Hiya, Dominique. All out there, all lonely in Tunbridge Wells. Dominique sent me an email today with a sheaf, a positive plethora of stuff attached to it. And I'm going to go through point by point because, even the stuff, well, it's all instructive, even if there's nothing I can do but much about these queries straight away. Right, the first point that she makes is that she's having difficulty accessing the reading list on the buttons on the left hand side. It says reading list, and when you click on it, there's nothing there. Even if you put the name of the module in, you don't get anything. Good point, Dominique. Well spotted. What I've done is I've gone to the course documents, and I've filched out the reading list, and I've put them. It will now each week be up for you in the content area as the reading list. I don't know how I missed that, but there you are. So the reading list will always be present in your course content. Just ignore that button on the side. In fact, I think I'll take that button down for the duration, because it'll be in your content area and it'll be there permanently. You'll see it now. Right, the next point that she asks me, so there's an apology, straight out. Next is going to be less of an apology. The next point that she makes is, what are we going to do about essay guidance? Essay guidance. Well, if I take a look at the module content, and I go along to the module handbook. No, that's not in there, is it? It's in module information. If I go into module information and take a little look at the handbook myself, I'm going to read it off verbatim. Here it comes. And I'll read the whole thing off to you verbatim, and then I'll tell you that is as much guidance as you're going to get, really, going over the page, 1, 2, 3. You will be required to draw on your own experience to write a 5,000-word assignment on a subject of your choice, which relates to your clinical experience of fertility management. Now, in terms of essays, it doesn't really get more broad than that, really. I mean, the extent to which you've got free choice there is, well, it's limitless, isn't it? You can just pick a subject, any subject, and away you go. I don't know. What in terms of guidelines, well, you'll be expected to do an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion, and that's about it, really. Pick anything you want. Only show me a draft. Show me a draft. I don't know about the subject, but show me a draft of what it is your essay, and I'll tell you whether the essay stacks up. I mean, and when I say draft, I mean, start writing an essay plan. Now, find a subject that you're interested in, write an essay plan, send it to me. And I'll let you know whether it's balanced properly and whether I think it'll fly. But after that, what I would advise you to do is to find an article in print that you admire and copy its structure, not its content. Be careful not to copy its content, but certainly copy its structure. You know, if you like the presentation of somebody, how have they done their introduction? How have they structured their main argument? You know, how have they managed their references, and how have they concluded the whole thing at the end? That's pretty much the best guideline I can give you, really, not knowing what your interests are or what your subject's likely to be. So, practice form, do it as quickly as possible. Get that out the way. If it is possible for you, you know, I mean, I don't know the extent to which, you know, you're capable of doing that quickly. Maybe, you know, maybe in the nature of your work, it's not going to be possible to build up the numbers that you need. I don't know about that one. Oh, good point, Dominique. Where's Tony Rutherford's thing? Well, okay, let me just tell you all this from my perspective. This isn't just your course, this is every course I do, which is online, which is loads this year, you know, it's absolutely loads. I've got 50 online students all over the world. I'm a bit bowled over by it myself. The psychology of being a teacher is when you go into class, you deal with all your students, you talk to them face to face, you engage completely and fully for the 3 hours that you're on, you come out and more or less you unwind from the event that you've just put them through. The situation with these courses, on the other hand, psychologically could not be more different. This is like gardening. This is like constantly tinkering, constantly seeing who's been saying what in the emails, on the discussion boards, on Facebook, constantly keeping an eye on minor problems which might grow into large problems. This is a process whereby you've really got to stay on top. Now, how does this affect Dominique's point? Well, looking at the course materials, I kind of thought that the development of NICE guidelines might be better placed in the section that's to do with IVF, which is coming up in the next semester. Now, that's a personal opinion, that. You know, it's not something objective. And I know, and I know that I haven't taken it down off the course content area in that folder. I know that, right? And maybe I should have done. But I kind of think how they developed NICE guidelines for fertility management is best dealt with there rather than right at the beginning. I'm not sure about that. And what's more, you know, there's only 6 of you. If 6 of you say, oh, I'd rather look at that now, actually, that sounds like better done early rather than done midway through the module, then I'll move it around again. But that's where it's gone, Dominique. It hasn't disappeared. It's just been shifted around. Um, Next thing. Oh, this one is a serious one. This one's a serious one. Okay, trouble with the links. The Dominique has mentioned this point, and so has the wonderful Vicky over in Leeds, that the essential reading buttons don't seem to work. Right. Okay. This is a decent point. I've had a look at this, and you're bang on correct. So what I've done is I've been in touch with the library this morning. I've got my little space age looking phone next to me, and I've sent an email to the lady who split the book up into various chapters, and I'm going to ask her why it is that the book isn't immediately available through the hyperlinks. I don't know why that stopped working. It was working perfectly last week. That's what I've been using to develop the tests. But it won't work for me this morning, so something's gone wrong. But the separation of the chapters into the separation of the book into chapters, and the linkage of chapters with hyperlinks, the way it was last week, is what we did at the university for your convenience and support. Yeah. If you go into the university library catalogue, and on the search box in the university library you put in the word Balin, then you will be presented with a list of choices, and I think the third choice down is the Sept textbook, Infertility in Practice. And if you click on that, then you can go personally yourself to the relevant chapter. In other words, there's always an alternative here. But I'll try and get the links up and working again. But if you were just to do a manual search through the university library and look for Balin's book there, then you'll easily find it. I mean, sure enough, you've got to search the library catalogue, like an animal. You haven't got like the option of just a click to go to it, which I actually thought was really, really sophisticated and, flashy. But whenever you pick flashy things, they always bust. So there is another way. Go in and look through the Sept textbook and find the electronic book that way. It's there. I know. I've just been in and I've just opened it all up myself. It works perfectly. Good, right. Next thing from Dominique. She's having trouble with the rest of the reading. Yeah, it's too small. Right. So here's the deal there, Dominique. First of all, in the little bar that accompanies each of these PDFs as they appear, on the right-hand side, there is a symbol where you've got an arrow that's pointing two ways like that. If you click on that, it will take you to the full screen mode. And then if you look at the full screen mode, that should be big enough. If it's not big enough, if you still need more size, because you've got glasses thicker than mine, if you put the cursor over the text and then roll the the little roller thing in the middle of the mouse, if you roll that backwards and forwards, it will magnify it still further for you. I mean, it'll take you'll get more magnification than you can handle. So that's a way of dealing with that problem. It's just play around with it, Dominique. There will be a way of magnifying it on your computer, but really speaking, that's all your end. That's to do with the controls at your end. I can't make it any bigger. I mean, if you wanted, I'll put the PDF of the handbook up and you can print it off. I mean, it's a bit 19th century, but if that's what you fancy, just ask and I'll do it. But I prefer everything to be paper-free these days. So that's it, really. The next week's stuff has gone up today, this morning, at 1 o'clock in the morning. I noticed that 3 out of the 6 of you have attempted the tests. Do the tests. The tests show me that you're awake, and if I ask for your opinion about something rather than a multi-choice question, just note it down, put it down on a Word document, and email me an attachment, and I'll know then that my correspondents out there are all awake, all listening, and all participating. Because as I've told you a million times, the thing that I fear most on these courses is the silent students. So well done, Dominique. You've got the prize this week for most participation. I'll see you next week, unless something crops up during the week. Ta-ta now.